What's the number one skill, the most valuable skill that you'll need in 2020? Here's what I know for sure. If you want to increase confidence, if you want to increase your health, if you want to increase your outlook and your perspective and your optimism, then this one skill is definitely going to skyrocket both your confidence and your ability to gain the next client or gain the next job offer, or to be able to have the audacity to apply for the next job. And what is that number one skill? I've taught this for the past 4 or 5 years in my work, and I've taught it to people who are willing to to know their passion. I've taught it to those people who want to learn how to create presentations. And the number one skill that you need to master, the most valuable skill to gain confidence, health, and vitality, and that's no exaggeration, is this skill, the skill of sales. This skill trumps so many other skills. You could be great at your craft. You could be great at what you do, but unless you're able to sell yourself, unless you're able to sell your idea, unless you're able to gain someone's attention, unless you're able to enroll someone in your ability or your point of view, then it all hinges on that. Whether someone listens to your idea, whether someone hires you, whether someone wants to collaborate with you. It all depends on how you're able to sell yourself. And so how do you do sales? Well, you don't actually have to be in the environment of sales or have sales in your title to be good at sales. If you are in any company, the only reason why any company exists is because that sales department runs that company. Without a sale, there's no accountant. Without a sale, there's no lawyer. Without a sale, there is no financial controller. Without a sale, there ain't no CEO. Sales runs the company, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for another organization, unless you're working for the government, and then that's just on taxpayers' dollars. But outside of the government, everyone has to create sustainability. And what's that sustainability? What gives a doctor the ability to work is the sale of a patient coming in and that patient seeing that doctor. What allows a dentist to work as a dentist, what allows any profession to exist, is because of sales. Now, you may not have sales in your title, like I said, but sales becomes very important when you have an idea that you want to express. That's saying that idea is actually selling it to the CEO. It's actually selling it when you want to eat Italian, but your husband or wife, they want to eat Chinese. Getting them, enrolling them into eating Italian, that's a sales conversation. That's an enrollment conversation. Whether you want your kids to be able to pick up after themselves or make sure they get off social media, that's an enrollment. That's a sales conversation. Everything that you and I do is based on sales. That's all we ever do. You take some sales out of the equation and you take marketing out of the equation. Now, marketing's getting a bit more bigger picture. But if you did not have a sale, then there is no thing. How do you get someone to marry you? I mean, it's not sales in the form of pushing someone, and I don't mean sales in that regard, and there are different methods of sales. I'm talking enrollment conversations. Sales is really a form of enrolling someone into your point of view. Why should someone even consider you for marriage? You're enrolling someone into why they should have an interest in you. Why do you think people go and get to know each other? It's because of that. Why do families get to know each other? It's to see if there is an enrollment conversation. How does that all happen? Sales is nothing but getting people to your side and seeing the world through your perspective. And people have done it through time, through coercing and through pushing. That's not recommended, and that feels horrible. If you want to eat Italian, someone else wants to eat Chinese, you don't beat them up and say, no, we're eating Italian. You enroll them. Look, Italian, we had Chinese the other night. I mean, there could be so many conversations you could have about enrolling someone into your point of view for eating Italian. That's just a plain example. Where you're going to have your wedding, how you're going to have your wedding, how many people should be at the wedding. These are all sales conversations. They're all enrollment conversations. So how do you and I get good at sales? One, we've got to believe in what we're trying to say or we're selling. We can't just sell something for the sake of, oh, I hope that person just accepts it. If you don't believe in your product or service, you can't sell. If you don't believe in your abilities and your capability, you can't sell your qualities and your skill sets in an interview, right? A company who doesn't believe that they can look after their employees can't sell that they're a great company to work for. Why should anyone work for them if they can't sell the benefits to someone, a potential employee? So it all works the same way. So the first thing is We've got to believe in what we're saying. We've got to believe that the advice that we're giving, we've got to believe that the work that we're doing, we've got to believe in the capabilities that we have is actually going to be of benefit to the person that we're trying to enroll. The second thing is you want to have enrollment conversations all the time. Like you want to enroll people all the time. See how you need to bridge the gaps for what you're lacking or what you're doing really well and how you can really accelerate on that. Everything, anytime you're speaking to another human being, anytime you're writing an article, anytime you're doing anything is an opportunity for enrollment. Now, you're not going to enroll everyone because not everyone's going to want to do what you want to do or to gain what you have. So not everyone is going to be there to want to be enrolled. But the people that you are wanting to enroll, that have the potential of benefiting from what you have to offer, either in an interview or either in as clients for yourself, you want to be able to have enrollment conversations each time. And the best way to practice that is to practice enrollment conversations outside the interview room. Practice enrollment conversations outside the client company relationship, business relationship, because when you can do that, it becomes more comfortable. You're able to do it a lot better. You're able to sit in comfortably rather than think, I'm on sales mode. Sales mode is what you're on 24/7. You and I sell to ourselves all the time. Should I go to the gym? Should I have pasta or pizza for dinner tonight? You know, we're selling to ourselves all the time. What should we do? Should I actually go and make that phone call? Should I actually go and write that email? And if you go ahead and do it, you're actually selling yourself as to why you should do it. Just to get the email out of the way so I can get an answer and move forward. Or selling yourself to not do it. Okay, I'll wait for tomorrow. I'll wait till it's a fresh day. I'll know what to say then. We're always selling to ourselves. And so the best way is to, when you decide that you want to do something, focus on, do I want to be for or against it? So you know which way you're going. And then have enrollment conversations, whether it's with yourself, because you have conversations with yourself all the time. But just be aware that you're enrolling yourself into a certain action, whether to do something or to not do something. And then when you're speaking to someone else, be focused on that conversation is invariably an enrollment conversation. When you're speaking to a friend, when you're speaking to a sibling, when you're speaking to a parent, when you're speaking to a client, when you're speaking to the number one skill that you and I are going to have is the skill of sales. Because if you and I read an article not long ago that the number one success trait that most leaders have, and I'm talking leaders like CEOs of companies who actually lead companies, the number one successful trait that they have is the ability to have had sales. If you prime yourself up in sales, you're more resilient, because sales is a lot about the unknown. Sales is a lot about not getting your own way most of the time. Sales is a lot about rejection. Sales is a lot about being the fear and doing it anyway. So the mere nature of implementing sales in your life builds you up anyway, because the sheer nature of sales requires you to build resilience. And that resilience just trickles through in every other area of what you want to do, being accelerating in your craft or in your career. So sales is huge. Sales is the number one thing that you want to get good at, whether you're working for someone else and you're an intrapreneur, or you're working for yourself and you're wanting to be an entrepreneur. Because you have two choices. Right now in our current economy, you can either be an intrapreneur, which means you're working in a company and you're innovating and accelerating within a company, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're a freelancer, or you're a contractor. You're working for yourself, but you still have to be selling. And same thing with an entrepreneur. You're getting a paycheck every week, but you still have to innovate. You still have to sell to your manager. You still have to sell if you're leading a team. You still have to sell to that team. Selling isn't just monetary transactions. Selling is really the ability to lead people to where you need to go to that higher goal for a greater good. A new product line, a new service. It's about getting people on board and then enrolling them by getting them on board and then leading them through. That's a whole sales process. So don't think of sales as just transactional monetary exchanges. Sales is conversations, is the ability to enroll someone, whether you are doing it personally, whether you're doing it professionally. It's the ability to take people on a journey and then give them the benefits as to what it is to get to that next level, because the way that you're thinking, you can get them there more effectively, more efficiently, more ethically, engagingly. And that's what sales is. So the number one most in-demand skill that is going to be available to you and I in 2020 and beyond is this ability to sell. Sales is the key that opens so many doors, because when you can sell yourself, your qualities, what the skill sets that you have in any environment, that unlocks so many doors. Because you could have all the certificates in the world, you could have all the degrees in the world, you could have all the experience in the world, but unless you're able to sell that, that's where the buck stops. And someone who can sell very well versus someone who can't, they're the ones that are going to win, because that's what's king. That's what allows someone to know that that person's got confidence, that enrolls someone in that. And that's the skill that you want to have. Now, brands, when you think of big brands, they do the selling themselves, like the brand sales, because they've done all the selling in the beginning, and now it's just the aftermath of, like, say, Apple or Microsoft. Like, in the beginning, nobody knew what Apple was. In the beginning, nobody knew what Microsoft was. But because they sold, and they built a brand in that level of confidence, the brand sells itself. But until you become a brand, like you become a name that people want to hire, that you become, that requires selling on your behalf, and it's selling your skills, selling your products, selling the services that you provide. So my advice to myself and to you is that life is a gift, and through sales, let's unbox it.